Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello, it's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 142 of the Cognitive Podcast. Oh, now let's see the comments. Your comments are very welcome. Please comment on the blog at Cognitive, remember the K in knit, cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com, or you can comment on our group on Ravelry. In the meantime, remember that I'm not going to add you to any of my follower groups on any of the social media because I'm getting tired of getting hit by robo accounts. So please follow me at the blog or on Ravelry, but you can always contact me in either of those places. In the warm thanks department, I'd like to thank, of course, everybody supporting CFR 2023. That's been sort of the topic of the week, I guess. So welcome all you Etsy folks, because I know some of you are checking me out, and that is a good thing. And once again, welcome to our local knitting group, Yarnopoly, if you're listening. I also want to thank Busy Bee Fibers because she got into the spirit of the thing right away and sent me some lovely things for the goodie bags, which I will not be telling you because they are most excellent and I do not want to ruin the fun. But thank you. She also informs me that she would rather you went to her own personal website, not to the Etsy store. So that is in the show notes. If you click on her, it's not going to take you to Etsy. You did not go to the wrong place. Do not worry. In the meantime, we're on to the Cognitive Fiber Retreat. Here we are. It is August 7th, 2023 at 8:30 at night as I record this. It's coming right up. Can you believe it? This is going lickety-split. You can find all the info for the Fiber Retreat. The link is in the show notes. It says all info is right here, and here is a link, and it will take you to the info thread on Ravelry where you can find everything you need to know. Just to remember, it is on for Saturday, November 11th, 2023, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the Valencia room at the Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia, and many, if not all of us, will be spending the night there, Friday night and or Saturday night. I will. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Please keep in mind that the way CFR has always worked is, yes, the event is on Saturday, but everybody comes along on Friday and we do things together and we have a lot of fun. I just don't organize that part. The link to the PayPal is there in the show notes. Please remember, those of you who have signed up, the last day to pay is September 1st. So come on now, let's get some payments in here, kids. We're most of the way there, but it would be helpful if everybody would pick up the pace a little because I'm looking at things that I want to order and I want to be able to buy things from our vendors. In the meantime, we are probably adding another vendor that just came to the fore. And so she's not on there yet. So I will be looking at that. But this vendor is more tools and such, not a dyer. So I'm kind of excited about that. I will let you know more as I know more. In the meantime, don't miss the fact we got a picture of the one colorway we know about. This is by Disney Blonde Studios. It will be paired with a design from our own Brenda Castile alias Good Stuff. And so hopefully they're going to pair those two and make them available to us. Oh, I can't say anything right today. There may well be kits and project bags all together. We are waiting to see what they come up with, but we do know Brenda is likely to do a shawl design for this colorway. Meanwhile, do not forget Laser Sheep is telling us they are doing an individual colorway for us, but I don't have a picture yet. You will be the first to see it as soon as I get one. So that's very exciting. The mini skein swap, yes, all those patterns and stuff, that's still on that info thread. You have to read through the whole thread to find some of the things. The goodie bags, whoa, the Etsy people have come through for me. I'm really happy. I have been adding their link. And so if you look at the links at the bottom of the show notes, you're going to see quite a list there. We have quite a lovely parade of the Etsy folk. And the latest one in is Crocodile Crafting. But I think we've got 15 of them down there, plus some of the usual suspects like Alpenglow's in the list, as well as Raspberry Studio. And she's coming through for us. You won't believe. Oh, I can't wait to see what she's sending us. So excited. So this is really good. What I have not yet done is gone through Etsy for the people who sell drop spindles. Yes, I got all these people, and we're not even on to the drop spindles. We're also not on to the dyers because I don't want to compete with our vendors. So, well, if the dyers send us things, that's nice if they send us coupons. But the main event here for us are our own vendors who will be there with us, and that is mostly dyers and one eclectic soap maker. I cannot wait. Classes. All right. Now we have a lot of established spinners coming. So I don't know if we're going to have the usual sort of things we used to have, but anybody who wants to teach a class, things you should know. I need to get the payments from everybody, but if you teach a class, I will refund your admission because teachers have always been free. But nobody's coming forth and offering to teach. That's why I haven't been saying this. I realized I should say it. However, we do need a few more people to pay up before I can really afford to refund any teachers' monies. We're really right at that line. So, guys, please, if you haven't paid by September 1st, but if you want to teach, please let me know because I will be happy to have you come in for free. We really want some classes. I believe we will find a way to do it. If we do it in the event room, that's just great. If we do it in somebody's room or suite, that's just great. If we do it out on the patio by the pool, that's just great. Let me know what you all want. Meanwhile, back at the Knitting Podcast, what's on my hooks and needles? You may be asking yourself. Well, we've had a buzz of excitement. I have really fought off the startitis. And that means I have finished Minerva's Meow socks. Those are in the colorway Meow from Hinkston Handmade, who used to be Rockin' String. And I keep messing up her name, but isn't that the coolest colorway? It's stripes, and then inside some of the stripes there's variegation. I really like these things. I just loved working with this. And of course, finishing one project means, yes, I can start another. Hey, Gemma, why don't you just go on and finish the Pennsylvania Dutch embroidery? Because I don't want to carry that with me. It's on white linen. I don't feel like having to wash stains out of it. So it's true. In progress, I did start something new. And it is the Simple Scallops shawl. And this is a tried and true pattern for us people who crochet. And I am doing it in Oink Pigments colorway in their lovely glitter yarn, which I believe is called Disco, and the colorway Knit E-Mart. It's clearly sort of Kmart colors, and I can see, yeah, she was having a moment there. So this is from Oink, but it's Knit E-Mart, and the picture is in the show notes. In the meantime, the lane splitter is very close to finished. I have turned the second corner. I'm now on the decreases. I would expect to get the body of it finished this week, I hope, unless something really rotten goes on. Although I am getting awfully caught up in the Simple Scallops shawl, I have to say, because it's fun. And you know, crochet goes really, really fast. This one, not so fast, but it still is a lot of fun, and I really like it. So, I don't know, but I'd like to get the lane splitter done, and I'd like to get going on doing the lining. It was suggested to me that I should use grosgrain ribbon. Maybe. I will look into it, but I'm pretty happy with the plan I have, but maybe. You just never know at this point because I'm still trying to finish the body of the skirt. Dizzy Blondes, I am not spinning. I have a pile of Minerva fur that needs to be spun. So let's just roll on to the strategy, shall we? Let's do that. So really we're sort of in Benjamin Franklin land, because I got looking at Poor Richard's Almanac, which is one of those books that Stoics like me, and I mean that quite literally, I am philosophically a Stoic. It is one of those books that Stoics, such as myself, love. And of course, a lot of it, when I look at it now from the wisdom of old age, looks like mindfulness. And I like one of the things I was reading by him that says, right injury in dust, benefits in marble. And I thought, wow, you can read a lot into that, but that is the joy of a good aphorism. Right injury in dust, benefits in marble. So most of the time in therapy, patients are saying, how do I do that? Because patients constantly ask in therapy how to get over their pain. They say, everybody says I'm too sensitive, blah, 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 but I just can't let it go. How do I do that? Ben Franklin joins the crew of people who sound like they're telling you to just get over it. He's actually not. He's actually saying a little more there to give him some credit. Basically, he's saying you have to work at this. You have to work at blowing away the dust. Dust doesn't just leave by itself. Come on, man. This is a guy living in colonial Philadelphia. If you've ever lived in Philadelphia, you know. You got to dust everything. So I think in Ben Franklin's mind, there is an image of his wife tidying the house and dusting things away. Whereas benefits in marble in Franklin's mind is probably about classical monuments, which means you carve them in there and you carve them to stay. So I think what Franklin is implying, to be less artistic, is you have the choice of how deeply you carve something into your mind. So the starting point isn't really how do I get over things. As Franklin points out, the starting point is how are you recording things in your head? And this is very much an issue of mindfulness and radical acceptance. When somebody hurts you, are you reacting by saying, well, I'll never forget this? And yes, I've had patients say that to me. The answer is you can forget, you can get over, you can let go of just about anything. But you have to make an internal decision to do it. And I think that's why he's using the verb write, as in W-R-I-T-E. He's telling you, you get the choice. How deeply are you going to record things? I think it is very fashionable in our era to be passive about that, to say, well, I'm helpless, I'm sensitive. There's a truth to that. I'm hypersensitive. I know it took me a long time to learn this one, because I do tend to feel things deeply. But feeling things deeply is not the same as responding deeply. You can feel something and it can hurt, but you are able to say to yourself, you know, this might just be me. This may not be as serious a thing as I am making it. So in other words, someone can be a bit hard on you or a bit mean to you. And it's true, they were. But the question is, how hard are you going to take it? How deeply are you going to engrave this on yourself? Or are you going to go the other way? Are you going to say, well, that person's kind of mean. I've learned something about them. I should probably distance myself. And I think that's the starting point, is to say, now I know something about them. The other thing is you say, well, is there a middle ground here? Because suppose they don't mean to be as awful as I think they're being. That's right. And that's kind of a middle ground where you say, that felt awful, but maybe I need to realize that I take things hard. So maybe they meant to be, shall we say, off-putting, but I'm carving it in stone, to use Franklin's metaphor, and I probably shouldn't. I should probably look at them and say, I have to remember that this person can say some very harsh things. And then I have to figure out, do I think they really mean to be that harsh? Or am I taking it too strongly? Or are they simply a little insensitive to how they sound? All of those things can be possible. You know, this takes you back to the good old days when we talked about ABC, action, belief, choice. That in other words, what people say to you is pretty much what you make of it. Action, someone says something that I don't like, put it that way, harsh, or maybe not as harsh as I think. Belief, that person's awful, I'll never get over this. Choice, I never get over it, I don't know how to let go of this. Action, somebody says something I don't like. Belief, maybe they don't mean that as strongly as it sounds. Maybe I take things a little too hard. Maybe I can instead store this one up and say, well, I know they can be a little bit harsh, but they may not know how harsh they sound. Choice, I'm going to give them some room, but I'm also going to remember that I'm keeping them on the friends list and sort of watching for future behaviors to see maybe this was just an accident. Or choice, I'm going to talk to them about it. I'm going to say, do you realize that sounded kind of strong? That hurt me a little bit. Did you really mean it that strongly? Or what do you want to say there? Give them a chance to explain themselves. Give them the benefit of the doubt. So write injury in dust. Give it room. Action, belief, choice. They do an action, but it's my belief that is going to direct the choices I make, including how hurt I'm going to be. You actually can control this. And then, of course, write injury in dust. Benefits in marble. Remember gratitude. Remember gratitude. Remember we're a community. Remember we benefit when we work together. That we have a lot to gain by not excluding people. Maybe we distance them a little if they've been harsh, but throwing them out completely, well, why were they your friend in the first place? It's time to examine, well, what kind of good have I received from my relationship? Write benefits in marble. That means don't forget the good. Even if somebody messes up and they say something harsh or they do something harsh, don't forget the good there. Try to keep a balance. So essentially all of this is about not only how you get over things, but how you take things in. And that involves radical acceptance, allowing people to be who they are, warts and all, to quote Oliver Cromwell, that you just have to allow that people aren't perfect and they will make mistakes and they may hurt you. So remember, as good old Ben said, write injury in dust and benefits in marble. Having said that, on to the fluffy books. Oh, we are very, very fluffy. I finished the Bridgerton books. I must say she really pulls out all the stops for book number 8 around the love life of child number 7. And it was a blast. It is such a fun book. I'm not going to go there. I think I'll let you go there. But now I'm on to one of the prequels. Last week it was so funny. I was trying to find the word prequel. I remember I was saying preamble, prologue, really messing around. No, prequel. I'm on to the first prequel. And I have no idea what its name is. Because again, this is in the Bridgerton Collection, Volume 3. All of these came from Amazon. It was a lot cheaper to buy them in groups like this. And they are fun, fun books. These are by Julia Quinn, and I quite enjoyed them. On to something I really like. Well, you can see a picture of me wearing my new best summer hat ever. Blow the trumpets and sing a chorus of hallelujahs. I have spent my life trying to find a hat that I can wear for shade in the summer that does not fry my head. I finally found it. Only took 62 years, but hey, what the heck. This is the sun hat from Farmers Defense, and their link is in the show notes. And I waited because they had one that was lined with green and had, I don't remember what on it, seaweed. And it would have looked okay, but the idea of seaweed on my head just was too much of a downer. So I waited, and they reissued some of their other hats that have other fabrics they use for their sleeves to line the hat, and I got one that's blue and it has pretty butterflies, and I really like it. I like the way it looks on me, but not only that, I wore it everywhere yesterday in the broiling sun. It was 109 degrees when I was puttering around Palmdale, California, out there in the desert, and I loved it. My hat was cool and comfortable the whole time. I was not fried. This thing has a UVF of 50. Oh my gosh, it was lightweight, it was mushable. I kept taking it off and hanging it down my back when I was in stores, and I must have crushed it, sat on it, everything else. Holy manoli, this is the sun hat I have been waiting for. So this is the sun hat from Farmers Defense. It is not straw either. I never thought you could get this kind of comfort out of anything but a straw hat, but I tend to destroy those. And even through those, my head fries. No, this is also, it gets better, made out of recycled plastic woven into a polyester, and then the part of it that is not polyester or plastic is also from recycled materials. I mean, it doesn't get better than this. This ticks all the boxes for me. It's a terrific, terrific sun hat. I think it was $35. Oh yeah, in a heartbeat, because I plan to wear this one forever. I just love it. And the link to Farmer's Defense is right there underneath the picture of me glowing with joy in my sunglasses and my sun hat. The other thing I really like was I finally got my summer pedicure. Can you believe it? It's August. But what I really liked was I had a Tuesday last week where my last two patients canceled. And I just ran out of the house and got in my car and motored on down to my favorite nail place in Santa Clarita. I got my pedicure. And the color, since people have asked, is called I'm Really Not a Waitress by, I think it's OPI. O, P as in Peter, I, Opie is the company. I love this color. I've been using it for years. It is my signature red. Because if you're going to get your nails done, you got to get them done red. I mean, you just have to do that. They stand out if you have my skin color. And I just love darker reds with blue undertones. There is a version of this with glitter in it that's called I'm Really an Actress, which I love. But I didn't find any of that on the shelf when I ran in and begged them to take me in off the streets and do my pedicure. Put a lid on it. Well, of course, the tea tastings continue. I have not moved on to snarky teas yet, but I am leaving them in the show notes because I think you should move on to them too. You should try them. However, I reloaded on my Plum Deluxe. And interesting thing, I thought, oh, my son is howling like a dog, seriously. Interesting thing. I thought Lady Grey was seasonal, but I had it on my wish list, so I just tried ordering 3 packets of it, and it came. So that's lovely. I got more of the insanely wonderful peach herbal that I love. And also, I tried a new one that I already had called Self-Care Herbal, and Self-Care Herbal is really good. You can see the picture there. It has honeybush tea. I have no idea why that is not rooibos tea. It may well be. And elderberries, and that's the self-care part. Peaches, apple pieces, marigold, natural apricot essence. Well, first of all, you can tell I like it because it's got peach in it. But also the elderberry doesn't hurt. So apparently this stuff is probably good for your throat, as elderberry is known for that sort of thing. It's really good. Is it as good as the Tranquility Peach? Nope. But it's good stuff, the Self-Care Herbal. It's very worth doing again. I may keep some around for the winter as a throat coat type of thing. But it's a really, really nice thing, and that's a Plum Deluxe. And I also loaded up on Lady Grey and the Peach Herbal, whose name I'm not probably getting right, and the Pears and Cinnamon. I've been having a really good time with it. So it's very nice. And I'm happy again because I have a lot of tea now. And I'm slowly narrowing down the collection, drinking up everything else until I get down to the things that I want as my house teas, which makes me happy. Wow, we're booking today, huh? Well, a lot has been happening, and yet it's all easily summarized, is all I can say. On to the blather, the pup date. Nothing is happening there. We're still working with Queenie on her hyperactivity. I have to tell you, if your dog is a jumper, we are having enormous success with the routine that I described last week, where the minute she runs up to us, we look into the air and raise our hands into the air. So we don't touch her and we don't look at her. She has responded really well. The last few days when I've gone outside and played with her in between patients, she doesn't even jump. It comes up and greets me nicely. So I hope we have finally gotten through on that one. Part of the problem was I couldn't get the boys to play along, that my son especially gets all excited and she reacts to that. So it's been my husband and I. My husband got the memo and we've been going out and working with her, and she has been calming down, and it is a remarkable change. In the watercolor world, I am supposed to be taking Andrea Nelson's Teachable class. I took one 7-minute segment in which I learned to play with the brush to see what I got. But I went back to one of her videos on Instagram, which is probably also on TikTok, and it's just a simple project. And what you do is you take a waterproof pen. I'm using a fine point Sharpie. I think she uses a medium point Sharpie, and you just draw squiggles. They can intersect. You draw them about a third of the way down the page. You start and you work your way down. So you leave the top third open, and you can just go through and do all you want. And then when you've had enough, you go in, and every place where you have an intersection of lines, you round the corners so you don't have any sharp angles there. And that's the part she seems to really like because she says it calms her anxiety. I found it really stressful the first time, but I have learned to love it. So I started playing with that. And the idea is you then paint the bottom as an oceanscape, and you take something that is circular and trace it so that you get a sun, and you draw in rays, etc. Well, I started this. My husband fell in love with the blank one, and he didn't want me to change it. So I just signed it and gave it to him. So you can see that first one. But I did work on to the oceanscape. Now, the interesting thing was for me, this also looked like a mountain landscape. So I began to play with that, and that will probably show up next week in the show notes. But there you can see my first attempt with the sun. I'm not convinced I got the rays of the sun and the way I was shading them right at all, but it was enjoyable. I just could not bear to do more work on it. And I was surprised I posted it, and I want to thank our own Hannah Sharkey, who said, "That's just gorgeous." And I thought, really? And my husband really liked it. So I like that one even better. And I can look at it and see, no, the lighting's not great on it, but it's only meant to be a fun, easy project. It was tremendously fun to do. As you can see when you look at that one, I was really involved in playing with all the blues and greens. But when I got up to the sun, I did mess a little bit with yellow and brown and orange and red. Well, I almost did every color, I guess. But I had a lot of fun. In the meantime, an art company I do not know, Grabby, they had a sale, and they kept offering me the same paint box at a sale price, and I kept saying no. Finally, they texted me and said, okay, here's the sale price, and we'll take 15% off that. So that, my friends, is how I ended up with another set of paints, 12 colors, and it's an interesting thing because it comes in a very nice mixing tin with a brush, that's that green-capped pen-like thing in the middle, and also a palette card where you can sort of do a slow stroke to show dark to light of each color. Ooh, these must be real. They even have a palette card. So that's exciting. It also came with a lovely watercolor pad. And I have to tell you, if you're going to do watercolor, you spend a lot of your time looking for good paper. 140-pound cold press is the preferred paper, although I'm sure you can work on other things. I happen to like smaller pads. I don't like the larger A4 size type artist paper that you usually see for watercolor. I like doing it on the small scale. So my paintings look much bigger than they are in these pictures. In the meantime, the Hubs date, well, we're all working together, sprucing up. They are still weeding everything because the fire risk here is enormous, and all of the homeowners and fire insurance is going through the roof. It's very exciting. So, we're just weeding like crazy. In the meantime, I began to get gardening toys. I got shears and I got some root powder because I'm looking at all the local indigenous pollinator stuff. And so it's true, I was riding down the road and I saw a sacred datura. I happen to love those when they bloom. They're wildly toxic though. So I'm looking at these. I saw one on the side of the road. It was blooming. You couldn't miss it. I ran up to it and I took cuttings. I was very close to home. And then I thought, well, what the heck? And I also took cuttings of the California buckwheat that is so pretty and grows wild here, but also people plant it as a cultivar, believe it or not. Well, I'm certainly going to. So rather than pay for these things, they are sitting in glass jars with root powder on their roots, and I'm trying to see if I can get them to set out roots, and then I will look around the property, because if you look at our property, the only thing that's alive right now are the datura and the buckwheat. Oh yeah, and the tumbleweeds, which would be quite pretty if it weren't for that habit they have of detaching and drying out and blowing across the landscape and becoming a fire and traffic hazard. But no tumbleweeds for us as a result. So there I am with my rooting experiment. You can see the picture in the show notes. And I hate to say this because I'm looking at the neighborhood and I have seen some plants that I am going back for cuttings that they're just on the side of the road. The neighbors own them, and they are out into the road, and there is no reason I can't go up and snip off a branch on an extremely full one and see if I can get it to root. Why not? I'm learning things, and so is my son. So in the picture there, you will see the bigger leaves are the sacred datura. You ought to look it up, because you ought to see the bloom is so amazingly beautiful, these giant white trumpets. And then the buckwheat are those little fine sprigs that look almost like evergreen and may well be, for all I know. On the calendar, the Cognitive Fiber Retreat. That is Saturday, November 11th. I am deeply looking forward to that. And the Evolution of Psychotherapy Conference. That is in Anaheim, California, right on the edge of Disneyland at the Anaheim Convention Center. That will be December 12th through 17th. I expect that I will be there something like the 13th, 14th, 15th, or 16th. I'm not sure yet, leaving on the 17th. But I'm really looking forward to that. You can see that I still have up my happy notice that I'm not working Saturdays after September 1st. I will be a normal human starting on, I will be as much as I can pass for a normal human starting September 1st. I have the Labor Day 3-day holiday. And following that, I am working on Mondays. I am very, very happy about that. You can see there my knitting alter ego, the blonde dragon. And also, I could not get rid of that wonderful Wallace and Gromit meme about knitting. So there is Gromit knitting. Minerva gets the last word. She was lying on my books. There it is. The background is a little bleached out because I was trying to let you see her eyes, because she has the feline eyes of contentment there. And she is lying sprawled across a series of books that basically are about cognitive behavioral therapy. There is the Star Wars Guide to Knitting the Galaxy, hex signs for some of my other Pennsylvania Dutch type artistic projects. Yes, she's lying on all of them because she is a cat. Oh my goodness, there's my doctoral dissertation. Look at that. And there's my master's disc from Edinburgh. Anyway, she is lying there across all those books, proving that she is a cat of very universal and Catholic tastes, in the sense universal is what Catholic actually means. I don't mean the religious version. I think she's a bit of, who knows what they worship really, right? And let me tell you one thing. This is a cat. She ain't worshiping me. But anyway, there she is, a cat of very diverse tastes, sprawling across my book. Someone said immediately, it might have been on your Treg Summerton, said, well, there you go, paint that. And that's it. Underneath you can see the list of all the wonderful, wonderful people from Etsy that I located, and now from other places. That's Busy Bee and a few others who have their own websites. And you can see all their links. These are the awesome people who are sponsoring the goodie bag at the Cognitive Fiber Retreat. So Minerva's last word is look at all the things you can read and look at and all the websites you can have fun on. Literary cats are the best. In the meantime, do not forget, we are a community. When we care for others, we are caring for ourselves. When we care for ourselves, we are caring for others. So on that happy note, everybody, please stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.